Welcome to our English learning podcast, everyone. We're so glad to have you with us today.
Yes, welcome. In today's episode, we're diving into a very important topic. This is episode 15, and we'll be talking about how to become fluent in English.
I know many of you are probably thinking, how can I speak English like a pro? Well, you're in the right place, because we're going to share some simple and effective tips to help you become fluent.
Exactly, and the best part is we'll make it fun and easy. No need to stress. Learning English doesn't have to be boring, right, James?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, English can be tricky sometimes, but we can definitely make it enjoyable. Plus, I'm sure you've noticed that it's easier to learn something when you have fun doing it.
Definitely. So let's start with tip number 1, practice every day.
Yes, that's super important. Even if you only practice for 10 to 15 minutes a day, it really adds up. It's like exercising your brain. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
And you don't have to practice only with grammar books or boring exercises. You can do fun things like listening to songs, watching movies, or even chatting with your friends in English.
And if your friends don't speak English, well, you can just start talking to your pets. My dog knows more English than my grandmother.
That's a good one. I'm sure your dog is very smart. But really, speaking with anyone who's willing to listen is a great way to practice.
It's all about consistency. It's like learning to play a musical instrument. You wouldn't expect to play Beethoven after one lesson, right?
You have to practice the little things first, just like how you start with basic chords before playing a song. In language, it's the same. Start with simple sentences, and then move on to more complex ones as you get better.
Now, here's another tip. Don't be afraid of making mistakes.
Oh yes, this one is huge. Mistakes are part of learning. If you're too afraid to speak or try new words, you'll never improve.
I remember when I started learning Spanish. The first time I tried to say something, I mixed up the words and my friend just looked at me like, "What are you saying?"
I bet that was funny, but look at you now. You can speak Spanish pretty well.
Yes, but those mistakes were the building blocks. After that, I wasn't scared anymore. I kept talking and soon I started getting better.
I always tell my students, don't worry if you say something wrong. The important thing is that you're trying.
Right, even native speakers make mistakes. No one is perfect. In fact, I make mistakes all the time. Sometimes I say something and I can feel the air change in the room. Like, oops, that wasn't right.
It's true, but hey, the important thing is that people understand what you're saying. Fluency isn't just about perfect grammar. It's about being able to communicate.
Exactly, and this leads us to tip number 3, listen a lot.
Yes, listening is key. It's how we learn naturally. When we were babies, we didn't start speaking first. We listened to the sounds around us, and then we started making noises.
Right, and as we grew up, we started copying the sounds we heard. For English, it's the same. The more you listen to English, the more you'll learn new words and phrases.
And listening helps you understand the rhythm and intonation of English. If you want to sound more natural, you have to understand how the language flows.
That's why I love watching TV shows or movies in English. It's fun and I can pick up new expressions. For example, I learned the phrase "what's the deal" from a TV show.
Yes, and that's another important point. Learn phrases, not just words. For example, instead of just learning hello, you could learn hey, how's it going? Or what's up? These phrases are more natural and commonly used.
It's all about sounding natural, right? Like if I just said, I am going to the store, it's correct, but if I said, I'm heading to the store, it sounds a little more relaxed and normal.
That's a great point. Also, reading a lot can help with this too. Reading exposes you to new words and phrases in context. It's like getting a sneak peek into real-life conversations.
For sure. And speaking of reading, I know some people get overwhelmed by long books or articles. But start small. Read something simple, like short stories or comics.
Yes, start with something you enjoy. That way, you won't get bored. If you like sports, read about sports. If you like cooking, read recipes in English.
Exactly. Maria, you're really making me hungry now with all that talk about recipes.
Well, food is always a good conversation starter, right? Speaking of food, that brings me to our next tip. Surround yourself with English.
Ah, yes, surrounding yourself with English is crucial. Try to use English in your everyday life as much as possible. Change the language settings on your phone. Follow social media accounts that post in English, or even listen to podcasts in English.
You don't have to do everything in English all the time, but the more you're around it, the more comfortable you'll become.
That's right. And let's not forget about speaking with people. Finding a language partner is one of the best ways to practice.
Yes, whether it's a friend or someone online, speaking helps build confidence. The more you speak, the less you'll be afraid of making mistakes.
And trust me, if you make a mistake, the other person will probably just laugh with you. I've made my share of embarrassing moments, but they always end with a smile.
That's right. And don't forget to have fun with it. Learning a language should be enjoyable, not stressful.
So to wrap it up, let's remember these key points. Practice every day. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Listen a lot, read in English, and surround yourself with the language.
And most importantly, enjoy the process. Fluency doesn't happen overnight, but with time and effort, you'll get there.
We believe in you. Just keep going and remember, we're here to help along the way.
Thanks for joining us today on episode 15 of our English Learning Podcast. We hope these tips help you on your journey to becoming fluent in English.
See you next time. Keep practicing and don't give up.
Goodbye and good luck with your English learning. Keep having fun with it.